Alex, hello.
Adam, we are back and still here. I stole your line.
Somehow,
I
it's a
stole
hockey
your line.
podcast.
Yeah, it's a hockey podcast.
Got to bring back
Uh,
all the ways we open the show.
After last, was it after last episode or two episodes ago? You texted or we were talking about the assignment that we did where you said it's a hockey podcast, and we
Yeah,
both got completely different grades.
yeah, I'll never forget. You got a 70 or 80. I got a 60, and I was like, okay, fine. I don't know the inconsistency of university TAs. Anyway, at least it was a class that had TAs, unlike this one English class I took when I was waiting 3 months for a mark.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, I remember
It
Daniel.
was a daily update on the podcast.
I remember someone sending us. I accidentally said Daniel, but I don't think he'd get in trouble for this. But him sending us a thing of saying, "Oh, look, they're looking for TAs for this random class," and I'd be like, "Yeah, that's my class. Great, thanks." Gee, that was bad.
And it was
Anyway,
like what, a couple weeks into class?
oh, it was. I can't remember, to be honest with you. I passed the class. Wasn't that
That's all
bad,
that
but
matters.
yeah, man. Oh boy, don't I know that. Anyway, um, Alex, there's a lot to talk about today.
Is it?
Stop me if you've heard this before, but we got to talk about the Vancouver Canucks. Oh, I don't want to. I don't
Can we
want to.
talk about Jacob Chikrin first? No, I'm just joking.
He wasn't talked about last night. He wasn't talked about.
That's
Wasn't
unbelievable.
talked about. Uh,
Okay.
Listen, there's a lot here. There's a lot here. So what are we going to talk about today? The Habs and Leafs played, so obviously we got to talk about the two teams we care the most about on this podcast. Go Habs, go! My team beat your team, Alex. Suck it. With respect. The All-Star Game jerseys. I want to talk about those because I kind of like them. The fan vote. Because it's not really. There's no point in me really complaining because Caulfield's out for the year. Talk about that, but I still want to complain, Alex. You know me. I like doing that. Some note on some Tampa Bay stuff. I want to ask you about load management because I saw a tweet in the NBA I wanted to bring up to the show. Some stuff on Darryl Sutter, Bruce Boudreau, who, as of recording this, has not been fired yet. Some stuff about McDavid, but to open the show, I think we got to give our regards to everyone who was laid off from SB Nation after the sort of cutting ties of Vox and all that kind of stuff. Alex, I love Habs Eyes on the Prize. It's one of my favorite sites to read. This is not a great industry. It feels like we hear more often than we'd like to about mass layoffs and that. I just hope everyone lands on their feet and can get some work because they were not just Habs Eyes on the Prize, but that entire outlet was just quality stuff.
Yeah, it's a tough industry to begin with, and COVID did made things just extremely worse.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, obviously, we know that very well in this country with certain companies doing mass layoffs at certain times. We're not going to name names, but that's okay. We all know who we're talking about. It's actually that day's coming up, but we're not going to talk about it.
Okay.
Listen, I'm just not.
Oh no, you're not wrong.
But yeah, man, it definitely sucks to lose. I think from a hockey standpoint, we know how definitely coverage for every single team is definitely not up to par from I think most national broadcasts, and to have individual pages covering teams I think is extremely important, and so to lose that, it definitely sucks.
Mm-hmm. Great people, great work, and we're gonna miss it. Now there are some sites that are staying. I think it's 6 of them. So hopefully they can continue to get support and nothing happens to them. But everyone else, freaking, don't let yourselves get too beat up after this. As much as we sort of talk about the back, I did take this one course that was, I don't know if you ever had to take it, but the thing of, it's one of those, I forget the exact term, but it was like journalism and the gig in the economy. And it's a course that basically tells you how media has sort of this like death of the newspaper and all that, and how like independent outlets are starting to grow in that. So it's not complete doom and gloom out there. It looks like that at points, but listen, there's some hope out there.
Yep.
We have to tell ourselves that being very young, people who
Yeah.
want to get into the industry. Yeah. You've been doing a podcast for how many years now?
Two and a
You know,
half.
God, it's been that long, eh? Jesus Christ. Feels like it's gone by like that, Alex.
No, I know.
You know what? All these years later, I'm finally right about Watch Out for Buffalo. It's
Yeah,
tough.
from
It's
episode
tough.
one.
All right, Alex. Oh, where do we go from here? Last night, the Edmonton Oilers take on the Vancouver Canucks in Vancouver. First, before we get there, do you know what milestone Connor McDavid hit last night in that game?
I do. He hit 40 goals.
The fastest to do it since the 99-2000 season when Pavel Bure did it. When he
Wow.
was a Panther, I believe. Wasn't even the Canuck.
Jeez, that guy's
So
ridiculous.
that's fun. So he is going to hit 100 points by February. I think we can agree. I think I don't know how much he's at, but it's going to happen.
How many? I just want to double check something. How many games have the Oilers played?
Ooh, that's a good idea. While you do that, I'm going to look at his hockey D page.
Oh my God, 48.
He's at what they've played 48 games.
Yeah.
And he's played in every single one of them. He's at 88 points. Oh, he's going to be close. Oh, it's got to be close. Come on. Man, that's stupid. He is 4 goals away from matching his career high. And that was 44 last year in 80 games. Oh my God. He is nasty. So dumb. What a great player, eh?
Very good player.
Oh,
greatest in the league right now.
Okay, all right, yeah, Sidney Crosby. You're also forgetting about Raphael Harvey Pinard.
All right,
my man, Lavaliger. We'll get to him a little later, but a bit of fun. But let's just talk about the elephant in the room. What's not even
which one?
Man, I laughing about this. I'm not laughing. I think it's pretty serious. We're not laughing at Bruce Boudreau. But I think we're laughing at how pathetic Jim Rutherford has handled this. I'm going to attach Patrick Alvine to this. I'm going to attach Emily Castonguay, Francesco Aquilini. So before these back-to-back home games, Bruce Boudreau was basically asked how he was going to approach these last few games. Was very emotional. He even cut one of his availabilities a little short, saying he would talk later. Multiple Bruce, there it is, chance. Multiple signs at last night's game showing support for Bruce Boudreau. There were mixed reports about a sign being taken, but I saw other people say someone was told to just show it during stoppages. So I want to be careful about that. I know Friedman said they were getting taken away. I just personally saw mixed things. Including a coach's challenge in the third period. Boudreau successful on it. Bruce, there it is, chance. At the end of the game, instead of leaving immediately from the bench like coaches do after a loss, he stays. Bruce, there it is, chance. Applause the crowd, sort of gives him a sign of thank you. Afterwards, having a very emotional press conference with about 10 minutes with the media. Talking about how apparently about 15 players came to him after the game. There were tears. Alex, I have a routine when I wake up in the morning. I set my alarm half an hour early so then I can go back to bed, sort of relax. Then I go on Twitter and I just see a flooding of all this stuff for Bruce Boudreau. It's bad that not only do we know Rick Tocchet will basically be announced on Monday, and this is from Jeff Merrick last night on the Hockey Night, we know his staff. Apparently, Sergei Gonchar and Adam Foote will be part of it, former NHLers. But I cannot, Alex, in the time I have been a hockey fan, seen such a clown show as the Canucks and how they've handled Bruce Boudreau this year.
Yeah, and I think let's put an emphasis on how they've handled it. They could have, the thing that upsets me the most about this whole situation is, you could have fired him 2 weeks ago when we all knew for the most part that Rick Tocchet was coming in. There was no reason, it just felt like you were dragging Bruce Boudreau through the mud. And I'm not saying you shouldn't fire him, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. Bruce Boudreau was gone at the end of the year. We all know that. We all know he was gone at the end of the year. His contract was up. He wasn't coming back. I don't understand why you had to drag the guy through the mud for 2 weeks. And you knew, like, the emphasis, like with Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin, you brought them up. You know, Jim Rutherford's been around, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's been around for 20 years. He's been in hockey for more than that. You know, Bruce Boudreau is going to be asked questions daily about this, daily. And he pretty much was. He pretty much was. You knew that was going to happen, and you let him do that when you could have fired him 2 weeks ago. Let Mike Yeo, who's done this before, handle this crap for 2 weeks and then bring Rick Tocchet in when he's here. Like, we all knew that Rick Tocchet was going to be here at some point. Let Mike Yeo finish the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the point of dragging this guy? Like, I just don't understand why you had to drag him through the mud. I can understand why he's not your coach. I understand that. I don't get the whole dragging him through the mud. That's what I don't get.
It's one thing for it to say it's business. I think we can all understand that, coaches get fired, sometimes wrongly, sometimes rightly. But it's just, there's that idea of doing good business. And when you see that it is physically affecting your players on the ice, I just don't get how you can continue to let that happen. And this goes to, I wonder how Francesco Aquilini allows this to happen. I think it's also worth mentioning, Alex, in all of this, that, the class on display by Bruce Boudreau here has been incredible. Also, we should say, by the way, as Bruce said, he thought he was done in November. Why didn't you do it? Forget 2 weeks. Do it in November when all this started. When he was getting, when Rutherford was saying, "Oh, the crap training camp, and we're not playing with structure," and we've known for so long he wasn't the guy. I just don't get how it's gone on this long. Now, it's interesting you mentioned the assistants, because in his post-game presser last night, Bruce Boudreau did sort of say that any team would be a fool to sort of not hire any of his assistants. It should also be mentioned that he said, as of right now, obviously he's not fired. Who knows what it's like today? I don't know if they have a morning skate or something, Alex, but my God, I wonder what it's going to be like if he has to show up to it. But he just sort of had this remark of, I wonder if they're doing it now, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have the exact call up here, because their next 3 games are Seattle, Columbus, and Chicago, not in that order. But Seattle's in the middle of it. I think Chicago's the first game. It doesn't matter. And what you can sort of glean from that is 2 very crap teams in the divisional rival, and sort of maybe getting Tocchet in that sort of scenario there. And he sort of joked, good group for the next the next group, good luck. Just, he still had his humor there. Man, I just don't know. Like, do you even think Bruce Boudreau gets another job in the NHL?
Yeah,
as a head coach. As a head coach.
Okay, so I saw something on Twitter. Listen, it's Twitter, and these were just fan accounts. They weren't insiders. There's one team in particular who, I don't know what's going on in that city. I haven't been able to keep up with the specifics, who really want their coach fired right now. And it's been trending on Twitter. I see at least once a week.
Ottawa?
Yeah.
Hey.
So listen, I'm like, I think he'll get a job in the NHL. Like, I think he can get a head coaching job in the NHL. Like, I don't think I think it's unfair on Bruce Boudreau, considering the situation he was put in, to say this is solely on him. Does he have some blame? I'm sure. I don't know the specifics. I've seen people in Vancouver say, yeah, he probably deserves a little bit of blame. And that's fine. But I think it's hard to say, look at that crap show in Vancouver, and that's fully Bruce Boudreau's fault. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think people realize what's going on in Vancouver.
I think he's definitely, I don't know how, in a way, his stock has probably gone up. Like, here's the thing. I personally think, and sorry to make this about the Habs, or you can say if you watch The Last Dance, I forget who the guy who was there before Phil Jackson. I forget his name, but sometimes a team in different states needs a different sort of coach. And the feeling people get is Rick Tocchet's going to be the type of guy who basically tries to keep JT Miller in line, right? But I always wonder, by the time the Canadians build to a point where they're a super competitive team, is Marty St. Louis going to be the right guy when that time comes? And I say that because he's so young into his NHL coaching career. Like, Bruce Boudreau, I think, can be because you look at some of the young players. Elias Pettersson's having such a great year and all that, along with Quinn Hughes and all that kind of stuff. I wonder even if his days of heading a team like those monster Anaheim Duck teams, the Minnesota teams that weren't sort of heavyweight, but what he got out of that roster, and remember how good they were defensively in that, but they just didn't have any goaltending. If his days of maybe being that kind of coach are done, but he can still be the sort of fun coach that's going to be there for your young players, or even if that's just sort of not your cup of tea, he becomes the nice guy assistant coach. And, he's good with offensive players. So maybe, who needs a different assistant coach who can run a good power play? Come on, a Montreal, Bruce Boudreau. Let's go. It sounds French.
I don't know if he's coming to Montreal.
Probably not, but you know what, Alex? He talks so much, and he was asked, how does he deal with this? He joked alcohol, but he's like, I don't drink anymore. And he also credited his wife, which is really, really sweet. By the way, shout out to him being late to morning skate and being like, I got you guys, didn't I? Oh, he's such a champ, eh? But, he talked about his love of the game. And to go through all of this, I don't think there's a better showing of how much someone loves the game. You and I were talking before that about watching U Sports.
Oh, yeah.
And sort of you got to be a real big fan of the game. It's maybe not for a casual sports fan to watch that stuff. But Bruce Boudreau, I wouldn't be surprised. It sounded like Mike Babcock. Who knows why he went to Saskatchewan to coach? But I feel like Bruce Boudreau, and he joked, apparently he owns a junior team. And he's like, I might have to fire my son and coach there. Man, the guy's a great soundbite. But I wonder if he would just coach anywhere if he really could in any role because he loves the game. No. The more we talk about it, the more upset I get, Alex. How can you treat this guy? And this is the $1 million question, but how can you keep treating a guy this great in such a crap manner? Remember how we talked about a couple weeks ago that JT Miller was getting called out by the Hockey Night crew and how difficult that is to be? Guess who was getting called out last night by the Hockey Night crew? Canucks management. Kelly Hrudey was saying bad things. Kelly Hrudey's like a saint. What are we doing here? God, the Canucks.
Yeah. No,
they're bad.
It's a tough situation to watch.
Frustration on both sides.
It's frustrating because this could have been sure, it could have been dealt with in November. It's more so, okay, you don't really have an idea who the replacement is. I have the thing I have major issue with again is we knew who his replacement was going to be 2 weeks ago.
No, we know his whole staff.
Yeah, right. That's the annoying part. And not that it's that we knew it. It's not that they were doing it. It's that someone was leaking it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was leaking it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to speculate on who, because I don't know. It's the fact that it got out there that I think is the annoying part to me. And I get it. That's their job, but still, no, I get it. That's the insider's job, but I don't know. That part doesn't sit right with me, is the fact that it got leaked. Of course, before you fire the coach, you're going to come up with a replacement, but still.
A conspiracy theorist would say maybe they don't want to pay him and all the other people they fired recently, and maybe they're trying to push him into court. That's pure tinfoil hat stuff, but
and that's worse than that. Yeah, that's bad. So
I don't think that's happening, but some also one last note about the Canucks from last night, 32 Thoughts, Hockey Night Edition. Jeff Merrick basically saying the asking price for Bo Hovat is 3 players, including a top prospect. Yeah.
And Are they
like
allowing
also Jacob
teams?
Chikrin almost. Oh,
Yeah.
great.
Are they allowing teams to talk to him about an extension?
I think Friedman said that they're not still.
Then they're
So
not
I
getting
don't.
that price.
So what they did say was
Sorry.
nothing is imminent, but what Jim Rutherford has done is he's gotten a sense of who is serious. Now they also pointed out, and we know this, Jim Rutherford does like getting business done before the deadline,
Yep.
which and everything against him, I personally think is a smart move because then you don't get caught by the sort of rush of the deals. Now it's difficult now in a flat cap era because everyone's accruing cap space. But I wonder now if he knows who is serious if they get down to a few teams. This is pure speculation on by my part. Maybe then you allow them to talk, but as of nothing imminent, but Friedman sort of said, I think, Alex, even if it wasn't on that segment, I think we've both heard it on their podcast that they haven't allowed them to speak.
Is there like precedent for a deal that large for a pure rental? Like I'm trying to think Rick Nash, what like that was an extremely big deal. Let me pull up the Rick Nash deal right now. I'm just off the top of my head. I literally cannot think of
what like a first for though. I want to know what level of player, but for a top prospect.
Like Rick Nash got traded for Matt Bolesky at retained, Ryan Spooner, the signing rights for Ryan Lindgren, a 2018 first round pick and a 2019 7. So not even, and that Rick Nash was 50% retained. So it's not even as big as what they're asking for Bo Horvat, but still.
Wait. Would that have been? Wait, so Rick Nash was a Ranger before that? That's Ranger. So that was at 50%. Was that Bolesky going to the Rangers?
Yeah.
So, and that wouldn't even be a pure rental trade because I'm assuming part of that package was to help take the Bolesky contract as part of the cap, though. So even that's a bit skewered to look at, right? So
he had a year. He had another year left.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay. So wait, sorry, Bolesky did or Nash?
Yeah, Bolesky had another year left.
So yeah, even that's a bit of a cap because Bolesky was like only good at Anaheim, wasn't he? And then he got the big contract, and then he turned into a fish. But I can't think of a pure rental. I'm trying to think of the biggest deals we've had at the deadline. Man, like I'm thinking, obviously, we think of the JT Miller trade to Tampa, but that wasn't a rental.
That wasn't a rental. Let me just pull something up because there's a one that I'm thinking of, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay. This is the closest thing I can think of. Erik Karlsson. He was on the last year of his deal. Now, to be fair, he had a full year before his contract expired. They traded him in September. His contract expired at the end of the year. They got Dylan DeMello, Chris Tierney, Rudolph Balcers, Josh Norris, a first and 2 seconds.
Yeah. And sir, I don't mean to sort of dig at every point you're making and nitpicking.
No.
But then obviously we know that Karlsson then resigns, and then that's even. So basically, I think the point you're trying to make here is if they want to get this deal with that return, basically, because if we look at it, if we start thinking about deadline rentals, you can get a first rounder, but you can't also get all these other sort of bits and pieces here. So if they want that big of a return, they're basically going to have to allow them to talk contract.
Yes. Yeah. That's my point. Yeah.
That's
freaking... I don't know if you saw it wasn't a rumor, more so people were suggesting Shane Wright.
Man, I'll tell you this right now. If the Seattle Kraken trade Shane Wright for Bo Horvat, I like Bo Horvat. I think I'm higher than a lot of people are on Bo Horvat. Signing or not, like extension or if you give up Shane Wright for Bo Horvat, I have no idea I don't believe the Kraken are going to do that. I saw those tweets as well, Alex. But if you are the Canucks and you have not done that deal already, you are a fool.
Imagine the Canucks next year. They trade Bo Horvat. They have Shane Wright in the lineup, and then they also get first overall and have Connor Bedard.
You know what? Then I would say thank God they're in the West.
Yeah, exactly.
Not our problem to deal with. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I think that's everything for the Canucks, Alex. Oh, and the dogs are going nuts because there's another dog outside. God damn it. Also, 132 thoughts. Two things we should mention. Apparently, this is from Jeff Merrick. Taves and Kane, their decision is expected to be made by mid-February. Thank you for taking so long. And they do say that they highlight the Carolina Hurricanes being a wild card here because Max Pacioretty, unfortunately, has injured himself again. It was a no-contact injury. I shouldn't say injured himself, but it was a no-contact injury. Same injury he had before. Was it the Achilles?
Yeah.
So unfortunate for Max Pacioretty. So they're going to be, maybe in there. Now, they don't really do rentals, but I mean, if you can get Patrick Kane, I mean, they're not afraid to get off-ice problems because they went and got Tony DeAngelo, so, wouldn't be surprised.
If they get someone else too, why can't I think of them?
Yeah. I mean, Mike Hoffman.
Did they get Mike Hoffman?
No, I'm just saying I have to pitch my obvious. Would you like?
I'm like, did I miss Mike Hoffman as a Carolina Hurricane?
No. I mean, you remembered he was a Shark. And I wonder if he even got a phone call from God, who was their GM again? Who was
Doug
it?
Wilson.
Yeah, you think Wilson even called him? He just kind of waits, like, listen, just give it a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going somewhere else. Just wait, buddy. Going to Florida. It's funny whenever the Habs play the Panthers and it's like, oh, former Panther Mike Hoffman. I'm like, oh yeah. Even though he was good there, it's going like
he was. It was him and
Dadonov.
Yeah, and they both expired on the same year. It was funny. I don't know why I specifically remember that, but I do.
Yeah, man. And then also Friedman mentions that with David Pastrnak, he says, "Don't make too much of it." Again, I'm not repeating myself.
He did not say that again.
He mentioned last week. He's like, "Listen, I said last week, but they are inching forward. Nothing. This is something I love. Right? Is you get reports on Hockey Night, then another major company to do with media has their weekly bit about some sort of insider trading, as I'll refer to it, and then they report the same thing. I swear to God, I swear to God. If we get 2-3 weeks of the same crap with David Pastrnak, I swear to God,
dude, there's nothing going on in the NHL. Isn't that nuts?
I hate the Flat Cap. Okay, let's talk about the Habs.
Okay.
And the Leafs. Sorry, I just instinct.
No, they won.
It's really funny. So Alex, I think I sent you the clip of well, you probably saw it before I did, but that clip of that I think probably Tic Tac Tomar was probably putting around because he always has those gifts ready for the Leafs. Yeah. About Michael Bunting ripping Mark Scheifele. Yeah. And I sent it to him like, this is good. We like him now, right? We like him. And then I think you said something about Scheifele. I said, oh, my homies hate Scheifele, but I sent Matthews by accident because just instinct took over there. But yeah, so the Leafs and Habs played. This game just kind of felt like it came out of nowhere to me. I don't know if that's you, but just
in what way? Like there was no build up to it. It just
it was like, oh, we're playing the Leafs. Oh, cool. You know what I mean?
Just
Anyway, so this is a game where, pardon me, Alex, I just want to get something up here real quick. You know me, I like setting up my scenes. Probably do it a bit too much, but you know me, I like setting it up.
I'll kick back and enjoy.
The Montreal Canadiens were without Cole Caulfield, who is out for the season. I'll cry about that in a minute. As we know, Juraj Slafkovsky out for the season. Without Caden Gooley, Sean Monahan, Jake Evans, Jonathan Drouin, Jake Allen, Joel Armia, Brendan Gallagher, and then they list Byron and Price, but like that's kind of not fair to mention. And on one line there was Raphael Harvey-Pinard, our favorite Laval player.
No, that's not our favorite Laval player.
Who's our
defenseman?
I don't know Gianni Fairbrother's even. I think he's out for this season. But Alex Belzile was playing on the line with Harvey-Pinard and Michael Bezzetta. They do score the game tying goal. And led by Samuel Montembeault, the Montreal Rocket, the Laval Canadiens, come back from a 2-0 deficit and defeat the Toronto Maple Leafs. Before we get to that, I do want to ask you one thing here. Samsonov had the start. Yes. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, did you watch Matt Murray's last 2 games?
No. But we did talk about how it was a little, Matt Murray,
Yeah. Again, like I said last episode, Matt Murray, fine. Want to know why? Watch the last 2 games he's played. Again, listen, man, I'm not gonna I've been Team Samsonov since the beginning,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, but I'm not gonna clown on Matt Murray, but I don't think it's Samsonov started Winnipeg, and I thought I didn't get to watch the entire game. I saw bits and pieces, and then I watched watched and read the highlights the next day. People are saying that was the best game they've played all year, and I'm sure that's it looked like, especially from Matthew's perspective, that looked like it was his best game all year too. Obviously scored 2 goals, but
he's been heating up, eh?
Yeah, he's had 24 goals, I think now. Which is funny. He's still on a 40-goal pace, and it's a down year. I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Not bad.
That's ridiculous. But yeah, I think you give Samsonov the start. You're kind of riding the hot hand a little bit in a way. He's had, he had his bit of he's been a bit shaky. He was a bit shaky himself a few weeks ago, but I think he's rebounded from that. One thing I've noticed about Samsonov shaky versus Matt Murray shaky is that Samsonov shaky, it's similar to Freddie Anderson, where he lets in it's the goals that he should have saved.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where it's yeah, he probably should have had that one, but he's fine the rest of the game. He's good the rest of the game. Whereas Matt Murray, it's just sometimes hard to watch. I don't know how to explain it to you. Like, I'm sure there's someone smarter than me who could be like, yeah, this is why. I mean, like with Matt Murray, it's like, just go glove side. That's the trick.
Okay. Now, as we were saying before that,
yes,
because I thought it was important to get that point. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. Happy belated birthday to Elise Belleville, lover, Kent Hughes, and Kirby Doc. By the way, Kirby Doc, he's starting to use his size more, and that's like, ooh, Kirby, you look good. Like me some Kirby Doc. I get they're tanking, but Chicago, I don't get it. He's so I don't get it. I don't get it.
You know what? I don't think he would be this good in Chicago.
You know what? Well, he'd play well, and then they'd send him down like they did with not Kirby Reichel, Lucas Reichel. Man,
I don't think he'd be this good in Chicago. I don't know if that's a hot take. Like,
I mean,
have we watched him the last few years in Chicago? Right?
That's true. Well, I know I don't watch.
No one did, but sorry, that was harsh, but I don't feel bad. But yeah, I think change of scenery. Some players just need that, you know?
Yeah, man. Listen, I have to brag. You know, obviously the Habs beat the Leafs. It's always a good time. Listen, I have to laugh about the Leafs losing the game. I have to, Alex, because it's just
so
funny.
Typical. It's so typical. If I knew that many Habs players were out, I would have just put a couple of bucks on the Habs.
It's fun. It's a fun time. You know, there's always the way it was going is the Habs were good for the second period, and that was kind of it. You know, I thought at the point when they tied the game up, I thought, you know what? If they lose this game, I don't think they can be too down on themselves because of like how ripped apart the roster is. But Samuel Mambo was like, hey there, we're gonna win this game. Just has something against Connor Bedard, I guess. Excuse me. But you love to see. Is that just how you feel? You're kind of like you've expected a loss like this. Does it change your opinion on the team?
No, because not every single loss is a referendum.
It's kind of like the referendum on Cody Ceci.
What referendum on Cody Ceci?
No, remember when Kyle Dubas was like, "I don't understand the referendum on Cody Ceci."
Yeah, but I decided that game 1 and I didn't change my thought. By the way, I told you he has a brother, plays for the York Lions. I just found that out. I was awake. I was deeply disturbed by that on Thursday when I was doing the game and I was listening to the broadcast and like Cole Cece, brother of Cody. I'm like, oh my god,
You
he just
should have
can't escape me.
just sent him clips of the show and be like, listen, I like him, but I'd get a beer with him, but I can't watch hockey.
Yeah, no, but I guess to actually answer your question, I can't. What am I like? I'm not gonna. Not every loss has to be a referendum. I that's the one thing I despise about Twitter, is that every loss is a referendum and every win is a little too happy. Like it is January 22nd. Half of us haven't seen the sun for like 20 days. Like I get it, but it's
been crappy weather, eh?
Yeah, it's been cloudy down in Toronto, Ontario.
I want to list you these names: Linus Ullmark, Ilya Sorokin, UC Saros, Jake Ottinger, Connor Hellebuck, Igor Shesterkin, Andre Vasilevsky.
Can I stop you for a second? I have some news. It's from Michael Russo.
Oh, Mr. Minnesota.
Yes, but let me tell you this. Michael Russo, hearing that Canucks coach Bruce Boudreau has been called into a meeting at 9:30 this morning.
Oh, why does he know?
Right? Yeah. Like how
you know what? You know what? I will obviously because Bruce was in Minnesota. Maybe he knows him, and Bruce texted. I don't know. But man, I hate it. I hate it. Did you know this is the 10-year anniversary of Brendan Gallagher being a Hab, by the way? Like 10 years in the NHL?
He's been I feel like he's been in the NHL for a lot longer.
Apparently it's 10 years. I still remember when he was a young man. He was a young man.
Wait, 10 years?
Yeah, man.
That does not seem right.
That's what the Habs were. They put this video out with him. It was like Brendan Gallagher, 10 years.
Oh my God. Wow. Okay.
I still remember when he was a young man. Came in the league the same time as Alex Galchenyuk. 5th rounder too, man. Remember? Set record in the WHL. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay,
I love Steve Daniels' response. Why? His birthday was on the 9th. Oh God. Poor dude.
Wait, what's the story there? What's the story? I forgot.
I guess because well, I think he's being sarcastic about like his birthday was there. Why are you calling him in the I don't know, man.
Okay.
Alex, can you please explain to me why Sheldon Keefe seems so he doesn't just get upset when there's a missed call. I think he reacts more than Tortorella does sometimes.
I don't agree with that at all.
Here is what Sheldon Keefe does after every bad call. He just doesn't. Here's what he doesn't just complain. He steps over the bench to lean over the boards to give just relax, dude.
I think he does it. I don't think he does it as often as everyone says he does. I think he gets clipped for it. And I think, frankly, I've seen Paul Maurice yell more than Sheldon Keefe recently.
Okay, that is, he got fined.
Here's the thing. I think it's, listen, this is my theory. I see plenty of video clips year round of every single coach in the NHL yell. Yeah, it's like maybe he was coached by John Tortorella or something.
But see, you know what? Tortorella's gotten to a point now where he just laughs. So something I should mention, by the way,
because he goes out in press conferences and says half-assed remarks, and then it's okay.
So I wanted to make one correction about John Tortorella, by the way. Last episode was the Provorov stuff, right? Mentioning how he made the remark about he benches players if they were to ever protest the national anthem. Apparently that was in 2016.
Yeah,
and apparently when the George Floyd stuff happened around there, he actually said he had changed his mind. I'm not letting him off for what he said about Provorov and being true to himself, but I did want to mention. I wanted to say that correction. Very important. I didn't know his son was
true to himself.
Yeah, fine. God damn it, man. So anyway, those goalies I mentioned, by the way.
Yes.
Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Hellebuck, Ottinger, Saros, Sorokin, Ullmark are the only goalies in the league that have better goals saved above expected, better than Sam Monta. I'd like you to know that.
Yeah, let's give this man the Vezina.
I'm just okay, smartass. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that goalies take
I
a little
know,
while.
I know.
And that's the line I tell myself the Game Primo's going to make it one day. But I'm just saying Sam Montembeault, that's higher than Philip Gustafson, who's been the better goalie in Minnesota. Who would have known? Karel Vejmelka, who is 10th. What?
And
Sam
also
Stubb,
won't be a Coyote for long.
yeah, I hate them. Carter Hart, Georgiev Swayman, who's good again, which is I hate the Bruins. And so on and so forth. Yeah. Peter Kochekov. Is he still in the AHL after they sent him down for cap stuff or whatever?
I don't know. Let's
The
find out.
heartbreaking news, by the way. So Cole Caulfield apparently has been playing hurt for 2 to 3 months. Good enough where he was scoring at a great clip. Was on pace for just shy of 50 goals this year. However, I think it is. I had it written down here. I'm so sorry. I think it's a torn labrum, a labral tear, shoulder surgery. Basically, if he gets it now, he'll be ready for training camp. This is sort of, I sound very calm about this, but when I heard this news yesterday, I was a mess for a couple hours. Alex can,
Attest it.
attest to the point that in the group chat, I was texting a lot of fully capitalized words that were not family friendly. I was very sad about it. Here's the thing, Alex. This has sort of asked a lot of Habs fans because this is not the first time a franchise player has played hurt and it's sort of led to a surgery. Hello, Carey Price. And it's sort of been asked, there have been a lot. Somehow the injuries are getting worse than they were last year. And that was pretty bad. People sort of starting to question the Habs medical staff. What do you make of that?
Here's the thing, question them in what way? Because I look at that situation and I say, how many, I feel like we've watched this happen multiple times. Now the bit of a different scenario, but remember Sidney Crosby had his wrist injury a few years ago. And
Yes.
They literally waited almost the entire summer for him to get surgery. The Leafs did the same thing. Why did you wait? You could have, if that was the option you were going to take, you could have done that earlier. Now, question I don't have the answer to. Maybe you do. Were they trying to rehab it and surgery was the last option? Or was surgery always the way they were going to go and they were trying to delay it as long as possible?
So they didn't mention anything like that. Even his agent, Pat Brisson, even did an interview for TVA.
Yeah.
And nothing like that was mentioned. In fact, apparently Cole, it sounds like everyone kind of knew it was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even Cole wanted to keep playing through it. So I don't even think this is just purely a medical team thing. I hate to say it, but feels like a hockey issue.
Playing
Everyone was aware. Yeah,
that
Pat
might be a
Brisson,
sport issue.
sorry, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like a thing of Pat Brisson, who knows that Cole Caulfield needs a new contract and is going to get at least, if he goes the full term, is probably going to at least get $8 million per 7 years, or if it's he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to retire based on the contract he's going to get in the next few months. Dude, what are we thinking here? And Cole Caulfield seems like a confident enough guy where he could even just take a short-term contract, get the surgery, come back, and then cash out like a madman at the end of it. What are we thinking here, guys? It's just sort of can we just give our head a shake here? This happened with Carey Price, and he'll never play again. Guys.
Yeah, I think it's, listen, I just think it's silly to say I think it's bigger than Montreal. I get it. Montreal with Carey Price, it's a thing. But I just think it's across the league. If you're saying Montreal's medical team needs to be reevaluated, 31 other teams also have to as well. I don't think this is solely a Montreal thing. I think this is a league-wide thing and a sport thing. There's plenty of players. Again, completely different scenario because it was the playoffs and those guys will play through anything. Patrice Bergeron literally played through a collapsed lung.
That's it.
Don't know how that was possible. That's crazy to think about, but he did it.
how is he alive? Like after, how are you alive?
Yeah.
It feels like any body check would like anyway, and you know what I mean. I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's just like you'd say like Pittsburgh's always hurt, Colorado's always hurt. The Blue Jackets this year, you would be like, what's happening?
Oh, I'm sure Tampa is down bad.
Yeah. Speaking of Tampa, 500 goals
God.
for Steven Stamkos.
Oh, that's not where I
we're
thought
not
you
there
were
yet.
going. Sorry,
We'll
I didn't think that's where you were going. I'm like,
No.
yeah, man. Listen, I'm a big fan of Steven Stamkos. It has nothing to do with the two of us being from the same city. I swear. I didn't grow up in Markham, but I love Steven Stamkos.
Where'd you grow up?
Woodbridge.
Oh,
Woodbridge.
Should know that.
Yeah. And no, I'm convinced if he didn't have his plethora of injuries, he'd be. I think we consider him close to a generational scorer.
Yeah, probably. He, if not for the injuries, he'd be closing on 600 goals probably. And then you're talking about 500's always. I think 500 puts you in the Hall of Fame, not right away. Andrew Chuck. Wait, did Andrew Chuck score 6?
I'll
double check that, please. But like when you get 600, then you hit a different stratosphere.
He did. He had 640.
Yeah, and Andrew Chuck was a little too late. Andrew Chuck should have gotten it a little quicker. But you know, when you hit that level, also it doesn't help that he didn't get his Olympic gold properly in that. But even though, you know what, I bet if Steven Stamkos, he's going to do all he can to be at a level. If the next Olympics is an option for the league, he'll be older. I get it. But, you know, if there's a guy who sounds like he's motivated enough to get to that point, and we know how Hockey Canada are, I wouldn't be surprised if he's still around and they just give him a fourth line role.
Yeah.
You know, however Hockey Canada looks in a couple years, I'm still wondering what's going on there. But yeah, speaking of that, so there was a game where Tampa Bay lost to Calgary. I think the score was like 5-3, Alex. It didn't, from what I see, wasn't egregious.
It was 6-3, yeah.
In Calgary, a Tampa Bay Lightning jersey thrown on the ice. Now, listen, you know, in our lifetime, I shouldn't even say our lifetime because then that extends to the Marty St. Louis Tampa Bay Lightning, and that's another Stanley Cup. In the past like decade, they've been to 4 finals, 3 consecutive, back-to-back Stanley Cups, and I don't even have to mention the individual hardware on there, including probably a top 3 goalie of this generation.
Has there been a Stanley Cup final in the duration of this podcast that the Tampa Bay Lightning have not been a part of?
Okay, so we started at TMU, nearly called it the bad name. Was that 2018-19?
Yeah.
So
and then we started second year, didn't we?
So we started, was it the summer after first year?
Yeah.
So that was after so that was the year that
we started free agency.
Yeah, so that was right after San Jose came back against Vegas. So that was the St. Louis Cup?
Yes, that would have been the same.
Right after the St. Louis Cup.
Yes.
Wait, so did we start the podcast and then COVID hit a couple months later?
No, we started the podcast, and then like 8 months later.
So, yeah, so then that's their first cup when they beat Dallas. Then the other one that doesn't count. And
then last
year. Oh my God, you're right.
Do you have to?
Holy crap!
I've seen waffles thrown on the ice in this city. I've seen jerseys, multiple, thrown on the ice in this city. Do you understand how spoiled you have to be third in the division? You're 5 points back of the Leafs and you have 2 games in hand. Do you understand how spoiled you have to be to throw a jersey on the ice when you're in that position?
That guy shouldn't be allowed to watch sports anymore.
Like,
so that person, I don't know. But.
Yeah, obviously we clown. Like last year, there was a plethora of jerseys in Canada that were thrown on the ice.
Oh,
The
it was.
Leafs. There was one in Montreal, right?
I was at that game.
Yep. Edmonton, Vancouver.
Wasn't there a team that had it twice? Was that Ottawa?
That might have been Vancouver. I don't remember, but you're right. There was a team that happened to twice. Ottawa, I think them too. We clown those guys, whoever threw the jerseys. This is more embarrassing than all of them, right? Like this is more embarrassing than having Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on the same team and throwing your jersey on the ice.
That's bad.
Like last year, dude, you've been to 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. Your team looks fine. And you know that when the playoffs start, Victor Hedman's going to look like Norris Victor Hedman. Nikita Kucherov's going to look like Hart Nikita Kucherov. Steven Stamkos is going to look like Rocket Richard winner Steven Stamkos. Like that, and Andrei Vasilevsky is going to be damn Vezina winning Andrei Vasilevsky. Like we know this. We have proof.
Now
you have to be so smart.
Like, I think they were only on like a 2-game losing skid too, because they beat the Canucks and they lost to Edmonton, then Calgary. Like I'm trying to find out why in the world they're 6-4 in their last 10.
Oh no.
Like they're 8 points clear of the Panthers for third in the division. You mentioned it boggles the mind, man. Boggles the mind. Speaking of Calgary, by the way, so Jacob Pelletier apparently just made his NHL debut. I thought he's been with the team for like ever. I guess he just hasn't played.
Yeah.
Darryl Sutter was asked about his play and how his first game went. And Darryl Sutter goes to ask what number he wears, pulls out the game sheet, reads off his stats from the night, and simply says at his age he's got a lot. Paraphrasing here because I can't remember if he's 21 or 20. He's got a long way to go. And like sometimes stuff doesn't read well. Alex, I watched the video. I think everyone has. And it took me a few days to watch it because I could feel the secondhand embarrassment of it. What a dick. That's all I have to say about Darryl Sutter. Just what a dick.
I'm going to see if I can find this tweet because I saw a really good tweet explaining this. Okay, this is from Darren Haynes, who writes for the Calgary Press, the Canadian Press, sorry. And he says, honestly, Darryl Sutter should be embarrassed about how he handled the post-game question asking for his thoughts on how Jacob Pelletier played in his debut. For a coach that values veterans, leadership, and the maturity of older players, it was an unnecessarily immature moment.
I think that's a very good way of putting it.
This is how I look. This is how I look at the entire situation because I think this is bigger than Jacob Pelletier. Is that fair to say? Like this whole season with the Calgary Flames is bigger than his response to Jacob Pelletier.
We haven't focused on Sutter enough this year. I think
he's
individuals.
I like he lost Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk and Eric Branson. Let's not forget about him over the summer. They were replaced with Nazem Kadri, Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar. That's who. Yeah, essentially those were the big things. Were they the team that brought in Sonny Milano and didn't end up keeping him? Was that?
Yeah, they gave him a PTO. Then,
yeah,
I think they waived him or
no. I think they just let him
sign
go.
Him. Chicago, then Washington brought him in and waived him.
Yeah. It seems like he's been going back and forth with general manager Brad Treliving, not Jim, Brad, for the entire season through the media.
There's a power struggle there.
Like,
what is it in Western Canada right now? What's going on?
I don't know. I don't understand this. What his dynamic, what he's trying to pull off here.
He's being a dick. He's an old dude who doesn't care to hide his thoughts anymore. I think the game's passed him by at this point.
But the thing was, they were such a good team last year, and they flamed out against the Oilers because of the goaltending. Okay, yeah, that's good. I didn't clue in on that. Sorry. But so what's changed? What's changed in a matter of the 4 months in the offseason? Yeah, you got a whole batch of players, but like what's changed in the sense of like how has the game passed him by? The team was really good last year. They had 3 40-goal scorers on their first line. What's changed?
The thing is, I think they've lost those finish. Well, if we talk about their game wise, they've lost their best finishers. That's why they can't score right now. It's
sure
we brought in guys who, no offense to Kadri, he's not elite sniper, but Hubert was obviously a tremendous playmaker. So that's what you can say. I think there's a sense of what I mean more is, I think there's a certain way you got to deal with young players and the way you have to sort of carry yourself as a coach, and not to mention also their Vezina finalist last year, ignoring the playoffs, also has not been up to par. When you don't get goaltending and then you can't score, all of a sudden, you can't do much even with such a tremendous defensive core. I just don't know who he thinks he's helping here, and I just don't know if this as a coach is what you should be like in 2023. I'm not saying you baby players, but I just don't know how I, as a player who has been waiting for my chance, and I know I'm part of the future here, can play out there. By the way, I'm playing with Trevor Lewis. That's really going to set me up to succeed here. And my coach is just going to say he's got a lot to go in a league that is getting younger, by the way. And give me a good reason you have to ask what number he is. Like, that is so disrespectful to one of your players. Why? You've just come off I don't know if this is after the Tampa Bay win. My apologies. But you just beat Tampa Bay. You need a bit of consistency. But you're going to go out and say that this young man making his NHL debut, at least for this season, I'm pretty sure, and you're going to say, hey there, what number is he? Like, just, why are you going to be such a dick? Anyway, I just got to get that. I just thought it was unnecessary.
It was the Tampa game.
It wasn't. Come on. You got a jersey thrown on the ice from a Tampa fan, and you're thinking, what number? Get out of here.
No. Even if he played a poor game, you don't necessarily have to do that. I'm reading about. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent here, but it's related. I'm reading this book about it's written by someone else, but it's essentially about Sir Alex Ferguson, the longtime manager of Manchester United, and he talks about his like leadership style, and it's really about that. And he talks about like how he handles young players, and really he talks about like how he handles players when it comes to the media. And he's like, I don't really like to, unless it's an extremely egregious performance, I do not trash my players, or I do not talk poorly of my players in the media. And this just seems the complete opposite of that. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it from Darryl. Like, I think you asked the perfect question. Who's winning here? Or like, what are we gaining from this?
I don't know if it's an ego thing or something, but the whole Darryl Sutter dry humor thing's starting to go a little. I just don't see it.
That's not dry humor. That's not dry humor.
The vibe he had was dry humor.
Sure.
And now it's just he's being a dick.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 things to finish off with. First off, want to give a shout out to PK Subban. Since 2015, his pledge he has raised. Now, I mentioned the pledge because the Journal is a joke of an organization. Famously, PK Subban pledged to raise $10 million from the Montreal Children's Hospital. The same hospital that I always mention this has his face on the side of it. When you drive into the city, you can see it. Has a wing named after him. Has continued after being traded and retiring. Has pledged to work with them. Alex, to the Journal, PK Subban has only raised $6.3 million. Only. So I want to say here, beside the fact that the Journal is a joke, I want to give a shout out to PK Subban for raising over $6 million in less than 10 years for this place. I want to give a shout out because I would love to see how much money the Journal has raised for the Children's Hospital. You're a joke. And shout out PK Subban, man. Over $6 million. What a freaking accomplishment. I love that. I always love when it's like the NHL will match a $5,000 donation. And it's like, here's PK Subban, $6 million. Get in there. Joke. PK Subban, love you, man.
Now I really want to know what the Journal is. I'll figure it out.
Oh, they're the Montreal Journal. They're a trash organization. They're a trash.
Oh, is that what the name? It's the Montreal Journal. Is that who it is?
Yeah, the Journal de Montréal.
Oh, I thought it was like the Gazette or something like that. But...
The Gazette have their own problems.
Okay.
Gazette have their own problems. Not everyone at the Gazette is bad, but there are some bad ones there. Yeah. Okay. What do you make of the All-Star jerseys, by the way? Because I have a soft spot for those like neon sort of cyan and pink. I don't like them.
They seem a bit they feel a bit throwbacky to me. Obviously the logo, the NHL puck logo is the throwback there, but I think the colors just scream. As I'm reading this, it says it features 1994 Big Star design, so it is throwback. Okay, so I'm right. I'm right. Yeah, no, I like them. Like that throwback. I enjoy the throwback. If you haven't noticed, when we talk about the retro views, retro jerseys, or what are they called? What's
retro reverse?
Retro reverse. So I forget that. Sorry. My favorite are the ones that are actually retro reverse. So to see this one, I like it.
I'm excited to see them. I think there was that video of Jason Robertson wearing it. Yep. Looks good. So I'm excited to see it on TV, even though I don't think I'm going to watch it.
What? Come on.
See, here's the thing, Alex. I don't have a problem if the NHL want to just name players to the All-Star game. Just do it. Now, what I don't want them to do is claim that they're doing a fan vote and very clearly not put in the players who were voted. Alex, I refuse to believe that Matthews and Pasternak were getting more votes than Cole Caulfield and Tim Stützle. I refuse to believe that Fox and Artemi Panarin were getting more votes than Martin Necas. I refuse to.
I don't know about that one. I don't know. I disagree on that one.
I refuse to believe, by the way, that Matthews got more votes than William Nylander. I want to read you this quote from John Tavares, because I actually kind of like it. Believes it's important. I feel like a real dick here. I think it's from Luke Fox, but like the screenshot, I got a text at the same time. So it cuts it off. Texting, which frankly is sometimes more exciting than the Leafs game from you.
Yeah. Context, I was talking about watching U Sports Hockey.
No, you shouldn't say it. You shouldn't say it.
Why not?
Company man. John Tavares believes it's important to revisit All-Star game selection process. Quote, I've always thought it's important to recognize the players. They're very deserving. And every year there's always going to be a couple of guys like that because of the format don't get the recognition. He suggested expanded rosters are one potential solution. Listen, I don't buy that these were the names voted in. I don't believe it. You can say whatever you want. I refuse to believe it.
Okay. Pasternak, sure. I could.
He should. I'm not saying they shouldn't.
No,
be there,
I understand. No, I know.
But I refuse to believe it.
But Matt, I think everyone threw some love at Willie. I don't know, man. I saw lots of Matthews stuff. Like, I don't know, man. The votes I put in had Matthews on. I'm listening. That's not the point, but the vote I put in also had Zach Bogosian. So, like, listen, my votes are trash. I don't know. I could believe it. The Adam Fox or Artemi, man, I disagree, man. I think Adam Fox and Artemi Panarin got their fair share.
I don't think they got as much as Necas. And I don't think anyone got as many.
Necas, you mean Sebastian Aho? Like, if there's a guy on that team who's going to get the votes, it's not Martin Necas. It's Sebastian Aho.
You know what? I actually want to look at, because I have Necas on. Well, because here's what's frustrating, right? Is Necas apparently was very open about how badly he wanted to be an all-star. So Necas is their leading scorer, but Aho has played less games. And I think Necas is second in goals. So you can make the point that he should be there. It's just if Aho had played more games, I think it's very clear that he should be there. But like the Hurricane account themselves were very much pushing it. It's just talking about players being deserving. Like I like no offense to Stuart Skinner. Sorry, Martin Jones. Alex couldn't get the campaign going. Like Stuart Skinner is there because they don't have another choice.
Yes.
Like there was no reason he should be there over Jake Ottinger. I refuse to believe it.
And that's why this division format is dumb.
Man, can you imagine that Bo Horvat gets traded before the All-Star game?
Is he the Canucks representative?
He is voted in. I think
my
Pettersson was
God.
their guy, but he has been voted in with Draisaitl and Skinner for the division. We should mention these are the guys who got voted in. Rantanen, McKinnon, Hellebuck, Horvat, Draisaitl, Skinner, Panarin, Fox, Sorokin, Vasilevsky, Pasternak, Matthews. I think all but one of those guys deserve to be there. My point is, make the results public.
Okay. Do you know what league we're talking about?
Oh, I know.
Okay.
The same league that were like, hey, John Scott, how would your kids feel about you going to this game? Colin Campbell, hello. I'm not surprised at the end of it. From what I saw on social media, I refuse to believe that Cole Caulfield should not be going to this game. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think his play deserved for him to be there. That didn't make sense. You know what I mean? I think he is a worthy all-star. I think the same with Necas.
But there's if you look at the Atlantic, there's about 50 worthy all-stars.
Oh yeah, it's the Atlantic.
Right.
He should be there over Suzuki. I'll keep saying that. You should be.
Yeah. Have you noticed the Atlantic literally have no defensemen?
How is Dolly not going? Oh, it's like, cool. It's such a broken format. It's just this league's a joke. My point is here, Alex, do not put a fan vote because I think this is flat out the guys they sent. I think this is the league's choice. That's what I think this is. Don't give me a false illusion.
No,
Barkov's not going, and it's in Florida.
Right. So, but that's my point. They're getting I don't necessarily disagree that the NHL very much swayed some of the votes, but if this was fully decided, they would have had another guy from Florida going 100%. Like one of Matthew Tkachuk, the representative, right? So,
pretty sure he is. Yeah.
One of pick a name, let's say Ekblad or Barkov would be going to the. That's just my thing. If they really pick, that's the smart business move to do, is to send multiple players from the host city to the All-Star game.
I just, I think it's bullcrap. I don't think it was right. I don't think it's right, Alex. It bothers me.
Well, good thing this game absolutely does not matter ever.
It matters to me.
Because there's, but I first off, it doesn't matter to the players. Like I don't know what maybe
John
Tavares.
Necas care.
Okay, except Martin Necas, but
some respect.
The fans don't care. When you're at the end of your career, no one is looking at how many All-Star games you went to. It's meaningless in the grand scheme of things, and in terms of a player's career, it's really, really meaningless because that's the way the NHL has it designed.
To finish off, Alex, I want to mention one thing. This is a tweet from Anthony Slater. This was on the 20th when I see this was tweeted. The Golden State Warriors are sitting Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, and Klay Thompson in Cleveland tonight. Last game of a 5-game road trip, went into OT in Boston last night. Now, this tweet made the rounds because load management, we know, it's a lot more sort of, I think, prevalent in the NBA than it does in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people were making the point that, Cleveland is proximity, Here's something I always think of is, kids go to games to see certain players, right? Every kid wants to see Steph Curry play. I don't know how often they play in Cleveland. I don't imagine it's a lot.
I imagine it's once a year. If it's I think they have a similar format to the NHL, so I think it's once a year.
Not to mention, I think there is now. Obviously, LeBron James is not there, but I would like to imagine, I'm not the biggest NBA fan, that those fans still have a bit of zest about going to those games because of, what was it, 3 or 4 straight finals between those two teams.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, it's much different rosters, and obviously, a lot of all the stars are gone from Cleveland now. But
Except Kevin Love.
Yeah. Oh, is he still there?
Yeah.
But obviously, Kyrie is not there anymore. LeBron is not there anymore. I just kind of look at that and I get load management in ways, but that stuff rubs me the wrong way because I feel like the fans were robbed.
Sure, but that's not Steve Kerr's problem. Steve Kerr does not care.
I mean, Steve Kerr's got how many rings? He doesn't care.
You're right. Like, I think I don't think, from a star perspective, I don't think we're going to see that as often, as big like that in the NHL. Like, I don't think there's going to be a game of, let's pick Tampa, for example, where Kucherov, Hedman, Stamkos all say.
I don't know about Kucherov, Alex. He takes all the time he needs during the season.
I don't think there's going to be. I don't think there's going to be a game in the middle of the season where that happens. I just don't think it works the same way in hockey. But I think I wouldn't be surprised to see teams adopt that for older players. I know the Leafs had done it in the past with Spezza. I'm sure it's going to happen in the home stretch here with Giordano.
Did you know he's from Owen Sound last night in the broadcast? Yes, shut up.
Giordano?
Yeah, or something
no,
about Owen Sound.
He's not from Owen Sound.
Why were they going on about Owen Sound?
He's from Toronto.
Is he from Woodbridge?
No.
Really?
No.
Did he play for the Attack, maybe?
Maybe that's it. But he's not from Owen Sound.
Because they were making stuff about Owen Sound. I'm like, is it Owen Sound? He did play for the Owen Sound Attack. That's why. Yeah. God, he played in 02 to 04.
Yeah, God. Crazy. Yeah, but no, I understand it from a fan's perspective, like especially from a city who absolutely charges a boatload of money to go watch a Raptors or a Leafs game now. Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate. Like the game I went to, well, again, different situation. I would argue different situation literally because they've now confirmed he's injured. But I went to a game 2 weeks ago. Matthews wasn't playing. Now, that's not the end of the world to me, but I can imagine there's people who saw that as the end of the world, and I wouldn't necessarily harm them. But again, I feel like that's different. Like, he's injured, but
that's also playing. A home game.
Yeah, I guess. Yes. Yeah. Is the point that they're load managing on away games?
I just think it's a thing of, well, I think it's as bad. Again, it's the end of the road trip, but it's like, man, like Cleveland, everyone sat.
I mean, listen, the NBA can do something about it if they want.
Which, they're not. Well, that's everything, Alex. At least, I think that's everything I have here. Is there anything you have?
I don't think so.
Well, that's everything then.
Let me check if Bruce Boudreau has been fired.
When is, they said 9:30? I'm guessing that's whatever. What time is it?
15 minutes.
Oh, it's in 15 minutes?
Yeah. Because I'm assuming 9:30 Pacific time, so.
How sad is it that we know when it's happening? Well,
it's the NHL.
Jim Rutherford, I hope he can sleep well tonight. Goofball.
I'm sure he does.
Well, there's millions of dollars, probably.
Exactly.
Okay. How are you?
I'm good.
All right. I think it's time for you to do the outro.
Oh, you want me to do the outro? Yeah, I can do it. Thanks for listening to another episode. If you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button. If you liked it, if you can give us a review, give us a review. I know you can do that on Apple and on Spotify now. Not sure about the other platforms. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, most podcast streaming platforms. And I think that's everything. We will see you on Wednesday, maybe.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
are you
we'll
around
find it.
early
Yeah, I'll
Wednesday?
be. Yeah. I should
Then
be.
early Wednesday, yeah, I'll be
Okay,
around.
perfect. That's good.
Goodbye.